Good Monday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith with the Monday edition of the Northern Mid-Atlantic Region's Weather Portal video forecast discussion for this Monday, the 11th, going into the second week of January here, 2021. Starting off out of the New Jersey Weather Network here at Rutgers State University on this Monday morning at around 9:30. We've got cold temperatures outside for January the 11th, generally running in the low to the mid-20s to around 30 or so in the New York City metropolitan area, also across central and southern New Jersey here, and especially right along the immediate coast. Winds are pretty light this morning, so we're finding some temperatures with the wind chills making it feel like it's in the teens in certain areas, but basically running up just about the mid and upper 20s to low 30s across the region. Generally, high pressure is in control. This morning, we do have a short wave to our west with a few snow showers on it. We'll get to that in a moment. Once again, taking a look at the latest wind speeds here. We can pull this up. Alrighty. And the wind speeds are generally variable in direction, but mostly from the north or northwest at speeds better or less than 10 miles per hour. And of course, with all of that, we have a few wind gusts here, but mostly these wind gusts are below 5 miles per hour. There's a few snow showers making their way across the Great Lakes here into western New York and also into Pennsylvania. Most of this is not reaching the ground. It's very light. It's virga and just some cloud cover associated with that. Here's our storm system here, a rather unimpressive one and getting sheared apart very quickly as it heads towards the Tennessee and Mississippi River Valley area to the northern mid or southern mid-Atlantic coast states during the next few hours or so. And that will not affect our region, although this short wave coming in today just brings some clouds to the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia I-95 corridor. There's been some snow and some rain with this system over the last 24 hours as it made its way through portions of Texas and also portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, and also portions of Oklahoma during last night and early this morning. Most of the snow was on the very, very light side. Some wind warnings across Montana, and of course we have some winter storm watches now across Washington and Oregon's coastlines here into the Intermountain region. So a little bit of a dense fog advisory through the central Sierra Mountains here of California. And with our storm system over the Tennessee and Mississippi River Valley area, we have some winter storm watches and some winter storm warnings that will begin to expire and to translate further east during the next few hours. And it's pretty cold coast to coast across the area, as naturally one would expect here in January. Even in Texas, temperatures this morning running around the upper 20s to low and mid 30s, upper 40s right along the immediate coast. And there's our Gulf moisture here. And even in Florida, temperatures are quite chilly with temperature readings this morning in the upper 40s to the north, down through the 50s to around 60 or so down around the Keys. Over the last 48 hours, we had some pretty impressive snow here across portions of Texas here. We were better than 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow. And as you got into the northern reaches here of Louisiana, we've even had reports of over a foot of snow in the north central regions here of Louisiana. National low-level water vapor imagery this afternoon, late this morning into early this afternoon. Lots of short waves here in the northern branches of Big Ocean Storm, bringing onslaught of precipitation here across Washington and Oregon during the next 24 hours. A big storm system looming off the coast here as well. And lots of dry and sinking air across the plains. Here's another short wave here. Here's another short wave here, and another short wave here. And of course, here's our storm, which is stretching out in a convergent flow here across the mid-Atlantic. So that means that it's probably going to be continuing to weaken as it reaches the Carolina coast. Meanwhile, this short wave here is producing some snow showers downwind the lakes and through central Pennsylvania and New York, but most of the air at the surface is very dry. If we took a look at the visible satellite imagery this morning, if it wants to come up here, we'll just take it all the way to the end. Yeah, because it's still It's still not sunlight here in central and western United States, but lots of cloud cover here across most of the eastern United States associated with this system here to the south, with some convection and rain here, and some snow across this area as well. And also with our weak shortwave here entering western New York and Pennsylvania this morning. Composite radar of the northeast sector here showing us some snow showers as it makes its way through Pennsylvania. Most of this, again, not reaching the ground. And the sky cover over New Jersey, New York Metro, Philadelphia Metro area this morning remains either clear or broken at about 18,000 feet, and a little bit overcast at times at about 15,000 feet across southern New Jersey. But for the most part, very dry conditions with dew points and temperature spreads quite evenly distributed, with high pressure basically in control, and the winds are very light, variable, or out of the northwest at about 5 miles per hour or less. And snow shower activity that's in the air is already just virga here across New York and Pennsylvania, but it's helping to cool the atmosphere, and with the cloud and virga situation condensing, it actually is evaporative cooling, and so that's going to make the afternoon temperatures feel a little bit chillier outside than what is being presented. And jumping through the week ahead here in New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, I-95 corridor. Temperatures today running in the upper 30s across the Poconos and the hillier terrain of New York State and the Hudson River Valley area. Also into interior Connecticut. Temperatures around New York City around 40, and just about everywhere else too. We do warm up a little bit. Temperatures tomorrow look about similar to today. Temperatures rising now into the 40s, upper 30s, and low and mid 40s as we head in towards your Wednesday and Thursday as well, before temperatures really apex, if you want to call it that, anywhere from the upper 40s to around 50 or 52 degrees as you get towards the Delaware River Valley area on Friday. Then a very strong cold front comes through. Temperatures next Saturday drop down through the 30s into the low and mid 40s once again, and then it gets quite chilly around here again by the time we get to next Sunday, where temperatures are only going to max out at around 30 or so in the hills of the Poconos here in Pennsylvania, and into near or around 40 degrees just about everywhere else. And here's our storm system on the European model guidance, waxing and waning here off the Carolina coast by later tomorrow afternoon. And just dry conditions across east of the Continental Divide. Here comes our new storm system here across the western United States, and that gets into the Rockies. And then that drives down into the plains, the northern plains and the Great Lakes area, dragging a warm front, cold front couplet coming through here on Friday afternoon as the warm front, and then Friday afternoon and evening as the cold front occludes over the area. There could be some rain showers around the region because it's going to be too warm for anything else. But then after that, downwind lakes and the northeast here, snow showers or flurries are likely in the cold sector of the storm system as it wraps up into Atlantic Canada. And things get, a little bit more interesting. The northern branch, as we've mentioned, has been very busy. Nothing is really syncing up yet. Even with the evolution of everything that's going on right now, and the pattern doesn't really support anything other than clippers, but there looks to be in the 10-day period something that wants to form here right off the coast, and again, 10 days out, this is questionable too. European model guidance for the next 10 days in the upstairs at the jet stream level. Lots of activity across the north here with our polar branch diving down. Cut off low here, close low over the Great Lakes by Saturday. We're in the warm sector, so that means rain. Then as this lifts out, more energy coming in from the west coast. And this is the northern branch of the jet stream. And this one here is the southern branch of the jet stream. But notice these the jet stream couplets are separated from one another. So we're not really going to see any strong storm potential here other than some very cross-polar flow air coming down on the east side here across the Great Lakes and the northern mid-Atlantic states. We took a look at the 850 millibar temperatures during this time frame too. Heights and winds actually. We wanted to get the temperature of the height and the wind at 850 millibars, mid-levels of the atmosphere here as we move forward. And we could see some pretty cold air is going to be coming into the eastern United States. Look at this is true Arctic air here across the Hudson's Bay region as we head into next weekend. And some of that cold air is going to be bleeding into the northeastern United States, especially Chicago and Michigan and Lake Superior and Lake Ontario and the Great Lakes here of Lake Erie and around Buffalo. So we got some cold air coming in over the weekend as well, but most of the Arctic air still remains over the Hudson's Bay area, but that should eventually start bleeding into the northeastern United States within the next 10 days, because basically what we're seeing is the split in the polar vortex, which is ongoing, other stratospheric warming that we've talked about, and eventually some of this cold air is going to be bleeding into the eastern United States. And this is polar air, Arctic air, and this here is true Arctic air, where temperatures are averaging at around 20 to 22 degrees, 23 degrees Celsius at 5,000 feet. That's pretty cold air. Below zero, by the way. When we take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies here, well, with all that warm stratospheric warming that's occurring here, it's going to produce some mid-level warming here on the east side of the coastlines here of the eastern United States into the weekend before all that cold air wraps around that upper low and then gets into the central and southeast. Now remember, areas that are further south here, that's where the temperature profiles look to be cooler than average. These are the temperature anomalies. And lots of warm air still coming in through Canada and the west coast as well in terms of temperature anomalies. But as we move into the 10-day period, again, lots of cold air with eastern troughing here and some kind of a storm signal here. It wants to show up in 10 days here, even in the European model guidance and the GFS as well, but we just don't know exactitude, and I wouldn't go past 5 days at this point if you want a storm signal of this kind just yet. Taking a look at the European model guidance 500 millibar height anomalies over the next 10 days, you know, everything seems a little bit not so impressive here just yet until we get into Friday. That's when the upper low and all that cold pool comes into the eastern United States, and it waxes and wanes, but there are undercuttings underneath this northern flow here, the polar flow, with lots of cold air in place as we head into the weekend, and where the heights are definitely below normal. Here comes our PNA with positive ridging here in the west, our cutoff low here over the Baja of California, and look at all of this cold air in the 500 millibar pattern coming in cross-polar flow now. This is cross-polar and Arctic flow coming in from Siberia all the way into the eastern United States as we head into the 10-day period, with a positive PNA here and a negative NAO here up towards Greenland, which is not seen on this immediate diagram here, but this is definitely impressive. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to have snowstorms here, but it does show you that the pattern is evolving as forecasted. And if we backtrack and take a look at the GFS, and then we're looking at the 850 millibar temperatures here through the next 10 days. There's lots of cold air once again building into the eastern United States, and then some warming across the west and more cold cross-polar flow coming in to the eastern United States. This is true Arctic air here. Now, by 15 days, this is impressive, because if you have this kind of blocking over the top here over Hudson's Bay and also over Greenland here with a negative NAO fashion, you got this, all this cold air, this Arctic air and polar air, mostly Arctic air, focused right over the northeastern United States, and that is pretty darn impressive to see. Okay, I think we lost our footing here. Out to 10 days here using the National Blended of models here, which is a conglomeration of American models and some of the shorter range mesoscale models here. it's not looking like a lot of snow here just yet. And this is over the next 10 days in the New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia I-95 corridor, but hang on. Lots of stuff going on the GFS version 16 coming out this morning from the stratosphere at 10 millibars. Here's our height anomalies here. Here's our polar vortex stretching and splitting into two forms here. Here's our very strong southern stratospheric warming event, which is ongoing. If we continue this down the path, it's already polar vortex is broken off into two lobes, one over Europe is stretching into Asia here, and the other lobe here over North America, and that sudden stratospheric warming event here over the Arctic Circle is definitely maximizing itself. And here's another warming across the pole here, which begins to show up in the 10 to 15 day period, and this would be a second or third evolution. In fact, it's going to be about 2 or 3 of them. Here's one here, here's the other one that starts here and maximizes itself here, and this is now polar vortex, polar vortex, polar vortex. And our sudden stratospheric warming event over the Arctic Circle still holding, the original one that we're in right now. So when the stratosphere warms at this level, the troposphere cools, so all of this cool air is going to dive south at some point, but how far south depends on the location and the splitting of where these vortices lie. Last night's European model shows the same kind of thing. No changes here as we head into the period moving forward, 6-7 days out. Again, same kind of thing. Here's another warming here. Here's another warming event here. And by day 16 or day 15, day 14, it doesn't go out that far. Maybe day 10 is going to be the max here. Here's one warming event, another warming event. Here's the current warming event, and here's the split of the polar vortex here, and here, and here. Very interesting. Taking a look at the short waves at the 500 millibar level on the European model guidance from last night, there's a lot of discontinuity between the polar and subtropical branches here as we move, and they're all out of phase, which continues to be the notion here, because the polar branch is much stronger and faster actually than the southern branch, and so therefore at this point we're not seeing any kind of phasing between the two branches. As we get into the 5-day period here out to Saturday, or 7-day period, here's our upper level low with vorticity riding around the center of this upper level low, and it's neutral as it approaches the east coast, and there's no phasing between southern branches and northern branches. And also I'd like to stop here because here's another one in the northern branch, here's another one here, another one here. This is southern branch energy here and here, but there's no amalgamation here. Also, would like to point out the strong vort maxes here also over Hudson's Bay area, and that's associated with basically the polar vortex splitting and the sudden stratospheric warming event that's ongoing. As we head into the next 10 days, again, by the time we get out to 10 days, the northern branch is ruling here, roiling with Arctic air, but there is no storm systems here that are showing up because the southern branch has cutoff lows now in the subtropical jet stream over the Baja, but a west to east flow. We'll call this bifurcation of streams here, or basically a zonal flow or split flow pattern. Actually, that's what it is, a split flow pattern here in the atmosphere. And until this changes, East Coast snowstorms are not going to be highly likely. We'll see. Once again, on last night's model guidance from the European model guidance here, here's an active northern branch energy coming in over the Great Lakes with a strong cold front and very cold Arctic air building in as we head into the 10-day period, which takes us out to about the 20th or the 21st. And the model guidance, shows one low here behind it, and this one here, which changes the precipitation type around the New Jersey I-95 corridor to either rain or snow, and a mix across southern New England. So somebody's going to get some snow out of this, but this looks promising, but there's a lot of activity heading in from off the west coast on the strong jet that we just showed you. So in order for something to happen here, things have to change here, and that's not what it's showing right now. And so once again, the parameters are there, but there's a lot of things that are missing too. Enzo is in a neutral state. The MJO, Madden-Julian ice oscillation, is in the wrong phase length right now. Supposed to go into a neutral phase over the next 10 days or so, and that might support something on the East Coast, but I'm not seeing that happening just yet. That's going to do it for today's video forecast discussion. For everything live, it's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. Make it a good Monday out there. Stay safe.